Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to $3 Theater. It's kind of just a hangout. Actually, I probably should change that, not to 3BT Live. This is more of kind of a Hollywood After Dark sort of thing, but I don't have the branding available in a way that I want it. So unfortunately, that ain't happening. That being said, welcome to the stream. I know I haven't posted a lot in the last couple days. There's been a lot going on in my personal life, unfortunately, that has taken me away from everything. And today, even itself, oh my God, I just got home. I was traveling for the government today. They sent me on a 200-mile journey to quite literally only enumerate one house. And I had to track it down. It was behind a gate that I could access. Like I could walk around it, but it was like a mile uphill. And I couldn't get the gate code. So I had to walk a mile uphill. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. I loved it, but it was like, oh my God, I drove like 80 miles to get to this house. And just to have to walk a mile to find out that no one lived there and that it was a vacation home. And that is about it. Like, my God. Oh, other than that, then basically I just had to come home because the only other case they gave me out there was not a lot. So, all right. Okay, there we go. But there hasn't been a lot movie-wise going on. I don't know if anyone here saw, I don't think you probably did because I don't think anyone saw. Enosh and I were talking about the, what's it called? Demolition Man did a whole thing with that. Did a patio commentary, and everything else. That was great. Let's see here. Let me take a look here at the chat now that I see people here. Okay. So, what do I think of The Boys Season 2? I haven't seen last night's episode, Garrick. I haven't. I'm going to watch it. Probably going to watch it tonight before I go to bed. So far, I love it. I love it. It's not as good as Season 1, I don't think, but I know it's building to something. I know last week's episode was really good, but it was totally filler for me. It was just absolutely filler. So I'm like, all right, it's not a big deal. It's not a huge thing. But the way that I view what's coming is going to be interesting. I want to see Homelander versus Stormfront. That's what I'm waiting for. Because I think Anthony Starr is a fantastic actor. I like Aya Cash quite a bit. The tension between the two of them is going to get interesting as that ramps up, as well as whatever the hell else is going on with the boys. People who are freaking out about it being week to week are just, you know what? Fuck off. All right. Like, my opinion about that is seriously long walk, short pier, eat a dick, fuck off. Okay. Like, don't get me wrong. I want to binge it too, but I'm totally cool with it being one episode a week. People just need to pull their head out of their panties on that one. So is Uncultured Swine part of this channel? Yeah, it is, gamers. It's funny you say that too. Let me actually bring up, I don't even know if I have it. This might be a totally different backdrop, but I've got the Uncultured Swine logo right there. So yeah, it still is. And trust me, it's coming back. It's coming back. Yeah. Cause what I want to do is I want to focus less on like the news coverage and focus more on other kind of content. So I think Uncultured Swine is fun. Upcoming 4K Blu-rays. I'm going to work on those probably tomorrow for next week. Those are going to be fun because I really enjoy it personally. I just picked up Hellboy yesterday, $10 on 4K from Walmart. That was a worthwhile purchase. And then I don't know if anyone saw Patio commentary. We did the Patio commentary with Enosh and I over Demolition Man. I don't know if anyone here did see Patio commentary, but I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it, and it's actually, I'll show you guys the thumbnail if you haven't seen it. Let's see here. New Dune looks awful. The fuck? New Dune looks great. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, this is a thumbnail for Enosh and I doing, I'm working on the thumbnail design, but you know, that was us spending an hour and 20 minutes talking about Demolition Man, and I want to make that more or less what we're working on. What do I think about the jab at Joss Whedon on The Boys? I know that was on last night's episode. I haven't seen it yet, so I know that it's there. I just haven't seen it, so that's my bad. Let me just kind of lower my mic. All right, let's see. You just saw Dogma for the first time. What do I think of it? I love Dogma. I read the Dogma screenplay in June 1999, so 21 years ago. I read the screenplay online because IGN had leaked out, and IGN posted it back when IGN had balls. I read it in like my high school library, and I loved it. I laughed my ass off during it. And I went and saw it on opening day when it came out later on that year. And I've always loved Dogma. It's one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. I think it's his most profound film, to be honest with you, how he talks about religion and everything else, how his view of religion. And I would love to see that kind of Kevin Smith come back. I mean, Red State was like a very similar concept in regards of the theology aspect of it, of what's going on, of how it can go too far. But I think Dogma was just comical and great and had a stellar cast. Had great stuff. Do I think that Baron Harkonnen in the new Dune will be gay, fat, rotting his own skin, snuffing adolescence? So, I don't know. I hope so. I hope he's as vile as I remember him being in the Lynch movie. Do I believe Campy's theory that the drama between Ray Fisher and Warner Brothers is manufactured controversy by Warner Brothers? No. What? What? God damn, Campy just needs to stop. Like everything. He just needs to stop talking. Because he keeps effing it up. All the goddamn time. He just keeps effing it up all the goddamn time. He needs to stop. It's stupid as hell. And like, no. Considering what Jason Sklar, was that his name? Put out today, that memo that got out today. No, not at all. Like they are committed. They felt the pressure of everything. They are committed to making this a big deal. They're committed to being good on this front. And I just think it's ridiculous to sit there and go, well, it just seems like it's manufactured controversy. Okay, you know what, you Canadian yokel, like F off back to Canada land, because you clearly don't know what in the goddamn hell you're effing talking about, man. Like, period. Like, at all. He's just running his mouth like he usually does. Like, John has got good takes sometimes, but my God, man, like, he just ends up running his effing mouth, like, so much. And he's gotten, like, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Campia? Like, stop it. The audio is roboting out. Shouldn't be. Everything seems fine on my end, but then again. Can I do a Clerks audio commentary? Yeah, I can. I can do a Clerks audio commentary. I would need to find the right person to be the right guest on that one. So that's going to be the aspect. That's the thing. I want to take audio commentary. Right now, I'm probably just going to do like one a week. Eventually the goal, and this, I'll be honest, eventually the goal would be to develop enough of an audience to where I can ask for Patreon donations, like $5 a month, get enough of those, like not even that many of them, like a couple hundred. I know that seems like a lot, but I'm being honest with you guys. And then facilitate that into becoming a full-time endeavor where I would then seek out different guests to talk about different movies and put out roughly at least 2 episodes a week, if not 3 episodes a week, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday sort of situation. Because, I mean, it's not that the conversations take long to do, but we got to watch the movie. I do listen to the audio commentary if possible, do my research on it, and then do all the prep work. Like that is the goal. That would be, to me, that would be a godsend. To me, that would be awesome. Like if I could just turn that into my full-time career, that'd be so freaking cool. And the idea there ultimately is to not shill negativity. I'll even do one on The Last Jedi, Ghostbusters 2016, and talk, and I'll try. You know what I mean? Like I want to find someone for both of those movies who likes those films in order to have a constructive discussion. But at the same time, I would love for it to become something that can be a regular staple on the channel, because I'm literally burnt out with the news. It's because it's all rumor. And I'm friends with some scoopers. It's all rumor. It's all, take it with a grain of salt. It's like, I want hard conversations. I want actual conversations, because those to me are more fun. So look for that in the future. If something people are interested in, I have no idea if they will, but I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. Campia is still better than the Fandom Menace. Yeah, well, that's true. If I do Dune, you want in Curtis. Well, Curtis, here's the thing. If I talk about Dune, which I will before the release of the new movie, I'll talk about the 80s film or maybe the sci-fi adaptation, right? I haven't seen the sci-fi adaptation. But I hear it's really solid. So there's that. So wait, what? Hold on. Nerdrotic greater than Campia. Nerdrotic is a bigoted racist, dude. Like, fuck off with that shit. Campia might be dumb, but he's not like he's not gaming you for cash, which is exactly what people like Nerdrotic and Doomcock do. Doomcock is flat out a Nazi, in my opinion, and Nerdrotic is right underneath him. Like, those guys just lie to you because they're trying to play the culture war for cash. They want you angry in order to milk your tits for money. That's what they want. That is the reality of what they do. And if you listen to them on their live streams, they openly admit to this. They openly admit to constantly shit talking things because of the culture war. They found a grift that works. Doomcock's own motto is stay angry. Why do you think that is? Because they know if you're angry, you are more willing to listen to what they say and never once question it. That's why, quite frankly, when it comes to movie commentary on YouTube, those two chuckle fucks are probably the worst that are fucking out there. I have more respect for Mike Zero because I know at least Mike Zero makes his shit up to only benefit himself. Doomcock and Nerdrotic want to actually enforce or influence the culture war because that is their politics at play, not trying to discuss something from an entertainment value perspective. And if you try to argue otherwise, you better have some damn good fucking evidence because I guarantee you fucking don't. So you want to play that card, I'm going to call that fucking card out if you put that shit in my chat. They're both scum fucking idiots. And I would prefer it if they weren't on this platform at all, but I have no control over any of that because I'm tired of people not actually being able to get valid commentary because they have to listen to fucking mouth-breathing dipshits who swallow that shit like a chick on a porn movie. Anyway. What's the best zombie film? Probably 1978's Dawn of the Dead, dude. Like, Romero, Dawn of the Dead, I think was better. Anyway. Okay. Did I hear about Harley Quinn moving this? Yes, I did. And I'm very happy that it got announced. Season 3 got announced. I don't know why. They had DC fandom last weekend. They had a Harley Quinn panel at DC fandom. No announcement for season 3. Doom Patrol got a season 3, but no, I mean, like, what the hell? They waited a week and then they announced it. Like, DC fandom part 2 was terrible. It was just terrible. It was bad, and they should feel bad. Do I think Jon Stewart will be the main Green Lantern for Zack Snyder's Justice League? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, if they do Green Lantern, if Snyder gets to continue the story, yeah, probably. It won't be Hal Jordan. Or if it is Hal Jordan, it's not going to be Ryan Reynolds. But then again, DC is really embracing this multiverse thing, which I think is a mistake. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. RC here with a whole bunch of crap. I stand with Signor. I stand for what? I don't know. Like, what do you stand with them on? Like, what do they do that requires standing? What I don't get it. It's kind of like dumb. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, you're kidding. Okay. Fuck off, RC, you bastard. All right. What have you missed? Apparently me going off on people. How are you confused by the Dune trailer? I mean, it's like it was a teaser. If you don't know anything about Dune, you're not going to know what's going on. But that's a problem on their end. So let's see here. All right, let me go through here. Okay. My thoughts on Black Widow did it get delayed officially? I know they were talking about delaying it, but I didn't know if it actually got delayed or not. I haven't seen it. I've been busy, dude. Okay, I'll tell you guys what happened. So my grandfather, they found a tumor on his bladder, and they thought it was kidney stones, but it turns out it's a pretty big tumor on his bladder. They gave him weeks to live, and so I went down yesterday to basically go say goodbye. And so if I come across as overly aggressive tonight, it's because I'm still dealing with those emotions. I'll try to rein it in, but my grandfather. Like, my mom and my dad broke up when I was like 1, and I lived with my grandparents for a while, and my grandpa was kind of always like a surrogate dad. So just going down there and seeing him in the condition he was in was very, very, very difficult yesterday. And I'm very, I'm happy I got to see him, but like, it sucked. It hurt really bad. So if I get a little aggressive tonight and on certain topics, I apologize. I'm dealing with that shit right now. Let's see. Thoughts on Mr. Sunday movies. I've never seen his stuff actually. I did hear that Roku and Peacock finally struck a deal together. That's good. I'm really happy about that. Because I have a Roku, but where's HBO Max? I'm sorry. I'm still pretty pissed about that. Universal Soldier or Time Cop? For me, it's always been Time Cop. I like Universal Soldier, but I've always enjoyed Time Cop more. I just did. Do we think we'll get any announcements for Batman Day tomorrow? Maybe more about Ben Affleck. If that whole thing is pretty good. Hey, what's up, Geek Cosmic? How you doing, man? Yeah, it was fun last night on Nicotina. I sent Nicotina a link to get in. I sent a lot of people a link to get in, and none of them have come. They've shunned me. But if they drop links, I go on their show. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. Let's see here. Favorite David Fincher film? For me, it's probably Zodiac. I mean, like, it's torn, you know. I mean, Fincher has done so many good movies. Seven. I liked Gone Girl quite a bit. And you know, I think for me, like, the one that always gets me the most is Zodiac. I also really liked The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I thought that was really good too. Thanks for the condolences, guys. It is it's sad, but it's life, you know. Let's see. Henry Cavill is back as Superman. That's what the rumors are saying. And so far, no one has come out and said no. So, I mean, we can argue that's probably the case. I've been hearing about this for months, but I'm very happy if that's true. McClunky says, I want to see what Ridley Scott does with the next Alien film. Look, I mean, like, I'm not against the next Alien film. I'm not against him coming back. I just like Prometheus, I really like, except for the like kind of ending, whatever. Like the last act of that movie is a little bit wonky, but I still like it overall. So there's that. And then, but Alien Covenant though, it just was such a far departure into this lore that we didn't really need to see, right? We didn't really need to see. It ended up being kind of ridiculous because the concept of Covenant, I understand that they are trying to set up LV, 426. Like, I get that. Like, that was the whole point of the ending of Covenant. And I know they want to do another one that kind of ties directly into the original. And I'm like, fine. But if we're going to do another Alien movie, like, I kind of would rather see them do something along the lines of, like, let's say, like the Amanda Ripley story, right? Her daughter from like Alien Isolation. That was a good game. Like, do that, adapt that into a movie. Give us something different than everything else, right? Like, give us something different, give us something more to go off of. And I just kind of feel like when it comes to Ridley Scott and Alien, he's kind of hit this creative bankruptcy mode where he is like, he blocked Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5 from happening. He blocked that from happening in order to do Alien Covenant. And it's like, dude, Alien Covenant was not that good of a movie. I mean, maybe I need to go back and watch it again. And I'll do a podio commentary on it. So I need to find someone who liked it or someone who's knowledgeable of it. So I don't just want to trash movies. I want to discuss them. But I just kind of feel like as an Alien movie, it jumped the shark in so many ways. And I get what they were going for with it. And I'm not against necessarily what they were going for with it. It just didn't do it for me in the end. You know what I mean? So there's that. Let's see here. Thank you all, everyone, for the nice comments. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, it really ran Alien into the ground. I don't know what Alien Covenant, man. Like, Prometheus is like amazing cinematography. It's a good story, just kind of a weird ending. Covenant was like a weird everything. And it just kind of feels like they were just trying to get something done. And I feel really bad for China because in China, 80% of the xenomorph was cut out. So, have I ever seen 13 Ghosts? Yeah, actually, AJ. Back in the day at my drive-in, we had a double feature of Training Day and 13 Ghosts. I have 13 Ghosts on DVD, and I have to say, I'm a big fan of the special features where they actually take you through each of the ghosts and give you their backstory. And if they were to do a 4K remaster of that, I probably would pick it up and definitely do a review because I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. It was a fun, stupid ghost movie for the time. You know, it didn't take itself too seriously. It was an entertaining concept. Predator 2 or Predators? I'm going to go with Predator 2. I like Predators quite a bit, dude, but Predator 2's got Gary Busey. And Gary Busey trumps the Danny Trejo cameo. All right. Like it just does. It just really does. But I really do love Predator 2. I don't get the hate for that movie. I really don't get the hate for that movie. I've always enjoyed it. I thought Danny Glover did a great job. I thought moving it into the urban jungle of Los Angeles was a good choice. I know people wanted Dutch to have a cameo or to be part of it. I get why they didn't do it. But I enjoyed it well enough. I really enjoyed it. Thoughts on the PS5 event? It was okay. It was kind of boring, you know, like I don't care about JRPGs. And I'm like, the thing is that the Demon Souls thing angered me. It angered me because like I'm watching it and I'm like, is this the Demon Souls remake? Is this, because I mean, it looks really good. Like, holy God, it looks good. And then I'm like watching the trailer, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, oh my God, it is Demon Souls because I'm recognizing all these, you know, locations in the game. But what angered me about it was like every guy that the player was coming across was like a one-hit kill. He blocked everything and it was a one-hit kill until he got to the boss and died. And maybe that was the point. But it just like turned me off. I didn't feel like there was anything really there. Like it looked really good, but there was like no substance to it. And Demon Souls has a lot of substance. I'm really wondering how far they're going to like, when they remaster this thing, are they going to make it, you know, where like it's on certain cycles, you know, certain time cycles. And I look forward to seeing what they do with that. And I'll probably pick it up because I did enjoy Demon Souls quite a bit. Predator 2 and Die Hard 2 have aged okay. Yeah, 100%, dude. I like Die Hard 2. I've never not liked Die Hard 2. You know, I mean, is it as good as the original? Not at all. But then again, what is? It's the best action movie ever made, Die Hard. But Die Hard 2 is not a terrible movie. It's not as good as Die Hard with a Vengeance, but it's a good sequel. Die Hard with a Vengeance, though, is pure fire in my opinion. That Spider-Man trailer was a highlight of the PS5 event. It was good. But it's going to be on PS4. So I'm like, if I don't get a PS5, which I have to get it through Amazon because I have credit there. I'm waiting for the pre-orders to come in or to be reopened because Sony is now saying they're going to have more PS5s available at launch than they had PS4s. So I'm like, okay, fine. When that happens, I might get my hands on it. But in the meantime, if Miles Morales is coming to PS4, I'm just going to get the digital version of it, which I probably shouldn't do because I'm a physical media guy. But I can then transfer the the digital upgrade over to the PS5, you know, probably. And I want to play it. I really like Spider-Man. I mean, 2018 Spider-Man game is an absolute godsend. That game is so good, a good story, great gameplay, great graphics, wonderful voice acting. The story just like ripped my heart out at the end in such a good way. And then the Morales setup for the next game was amazing too. It's like, that was fan service, the video game, but in like every epic way possible. Last Action Hero or Collateral Damage? Oh, dude, it's always going to be Last Action Hero. But Collateral Damage was good too. I like Collateral Damage quite a bit. You've got the Blu-ray collectors of 13 Ghosts. Nice, dude. Nice. Is Fight Club overrated? No, it's not. It's actually more relevant now than anything else. Have I seen any of the Seagal's DVD movies? Are they really that bad? I saw a couple of them. I think the last one I saw was called The Patriot, where like it's like all about like this deadly virus that's going to be released like by this militia. And Seagal like kills the bad guy by taking a wine glass and breaking off the cup and then just shoving the stem into like the dude's temple or something. And like, that's how he kills him. And then he's done a whole bunch after that I just haven't seen. I need to though. Winter Soldier or Civil War? Winter Soldier, I think. I love Civil War. I do. But Winter Soldier was such a good political thriller. You know, it was such an amazing thing for 2014 because you weren't expecting it to go that deep and to be that political. And I thought the Russo bros kind of completely established themselves as the right choice because I was apprehensive going in. And I actually ended up seeing Captain America Winter Soldier like a couple days early because we got to screen it at the drive-in. So I watched it a couple days early. Civil War was great too, but for me, Winter Soldier is the better movie. Let's see here. Okay, Toxic Avenger or Return to Nukem High Volume 1. Probably Toxic Avenger, correct? Because I've never seen Return to Nukem High. So there's that. I Don't Hurt 2 and Prior to Where of Their Time. What do you want? I don't know, Paul, what you're asking here. I'm sorry. Speaking of Blomkamp, he has this new film called Inferno starring Taylor Kitsch. It's about a cop in New Mexico who investigates a murder only to discover there's an alien monster. That sounds awesome. If you've seen any of what he's done with Oat Studio, you know that it's going to be pretty good. So I think that should be pretty tight as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what that comes up with. Did I ever see Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf? You mean, did I ever watch Rear Window with Shia LaBeouf? Yes, I did. And I think DJ Caruso did a good job at that movie. I actually really liked Disturbia. Eagle Eye, not so much. It's not that Eagle Eye was a bad movie. It just felt like such a weird concept. You know, Shia LaBeouf running from Big Brother, Julianne Moore as the bad guy. Kind of a weird concept. But I do feel that Disturbia was really good for the type of thriller it wanted to be, even though it was a beat for beat ripoff of Rear Window. It just, it didn't have freaking Perry Mason in it, man. But then again, it wasn't the ABC remake starring Christopher Reeves and Daryl Hannah from back in the 90s. So is that. When am I watching Tenet? Hopefully this week. If I have time. I'm with everything with my grandpa, and then I've just been working. It's just a lot going on. One franchise. Hey, Ivy, what's going on, man? Are you still down in are you still down in Oregon? I haven't talked to you in years. So I hope you're well. Hope the fires haven't gotten you, nothing like that. One franchise that deserves a reboot and some love is Highlander. I think they are rebooting Highlander. If I recall, they're supposed to be, Highlander reboot from director Chad Stileski. They announced it though about a year and a half ago, and there's been nothing new on it. So, but Chad Stileski coming off of the John Wick movies, actually, I'm pretty sure Highlander is going to get delayed because they're doing John Wick 4 and 5 back to back. So I think that's going to kind of delay it for the time. But at the same time, I'm on board with them doing that. But if you don't have, look, just take the Queen soundtrack and put it in this new movie. And Clancy Brown has somehow got to have a cameo appearance. Somehow. I would love Sean Connery to have a cameo appearance, but it's not going to happen because he's like 95 and doesn't give a fuck. Maybe Christopher Lambert, if you could find him. I don't know where he's at, but definitely Clancy Brown, 100%. My thoughts on WandaVision coming in 2020. I'm excited to see it. Things to be pretty good. Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day. Oof. Probably Tomorrow Never Dies. Hey, what's going on, Dawson? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, it's good to be here. I realized you sent the link, and I was like, have I ever been on a Matt Drabble stream before?
No, it gets really weird though. I'll tell you that. So,
so I've heard.
I swear a lot, and then I this is like after dark. I don't care. Yeah. So be prepared. No, good. It's all good. It's all good, dude. I dropped the link in there, and I was like, I'll just go live for like an hour because I'm gonna do another stream after this on my other channel, but talking about the current news, like not movie related. Because there's a lot going on in that world too, like the real world. A lot's happened today. So
yeah.
So, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of come on in and just like chit chat with everyone for a while and answer some questions because people are now asking like, what are better films? Like, here's a hard one: John Wick trilogy or the first 3 Die Hards. What do you prefer?
I loved the first Die Hard. But as a trilogy, John Wick.
Okay. See, I haven't seen John Wick Chapter 3 yet. So I've seen 1 and 2, and I love 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. But I do love Die Hard 1, 2, and 3. So, like, I probably, for me, would just say Die Hard because I've seen all of it right now.
That's fair, yeah.
And it's like, I just also don't think you're ever going to get a better action movie overall than Die Hard. Like, as good as John Wick is, and it's like, I actually didn't see John Wick in theaters when it came out. I actually saw it about 2 weeks before John Wick Chapter 2 came out. And I watched with my girlfriend, and I was legitimately mad when it was over. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm just pissed off that I didn't see this in theaters. Because it was so good. It was like so freaking good, And then John Wick Chapter 2 I thought was really fantastic. So
yeah, it's easily it's probably the best trilogy to come out in a while of anything. Yeah. Honestly.
Well, now they're doing 4 and 5 back to back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So Keanu's like, all right, like, I guess I am back.
I'm going to milk this as much as possible.
I don't think it's him milking it, to be honest
Yeah,
with
that's
you.
true. That's true.
It's Lionsgate. Like, we have nothing else right now. Because
Right.
they don't. They like, I honestly am expecting Lionsgate to announce a fucking what is it? Twilight reboot.
Oh
You know,
gosh.
like because well,
again.
Stephanie Meyer just put out like another one of those books about like, it's like one of the I think it might be like it's one of the Twilight books, but from Edward's perspective.
Interesting.
And
Yeah,
like
I've heard about that, but like with I was in like what was it, 5th and 6th grade when those movies were starting to come out. And I remember
wow,
vividly in 6th
you're
grade.
young.
Yeah, I'm 23, almost 24.
Oh my God. I'm 38. So I'm like, oh my God. I was what, 2008. So yeah, I was 26 when those came out, when the first Twilight.
Yeah, like I'm 23, but I feel like sometimes I'm like 32 because it's just how I feel because of people around me. But that's not narcissistic at all. But I remember vividly in 6th grade, my entire 6th grade class going to the movie theater because of this girl named Hunter. She's a big Twilight fan. My mom made me read the books just because, reading points. And I remember we all went to the theater and watched it. And oh gosh, I just don't want to go through that again. I just don't.
You see, I've suffered in a way that not many people have suffered when it comes to Twilight. So Comic-Con 2009, they had realized that there was an audience of women that wanted to know more about Twilight. So they actually booked Hall H Thursday, day one, first panel. And so they had women camping out for over a week to be the first ones in to see the new moon panel, to get a first glimpse of the film and to see the cast on stage. So those of us who were diehard Comic-Con fans, Comic-Con goers, we had to like deal with twitards.
Yeah.
And Burger King got in on the action by sending down crowns, either Team Edward or Team Jacob.
Oh boy.
And like, I took one, and my friend took one, and I took one. We turned him inside out, and he wrote Team Jughead, which I thought was clever. And I just wrote no Twilight on mine. And
gosh, you say Team Edward and Team Jacob, that just sends us through so much traumatic middle school and early high school experiences. Like,
welcome to hell.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
It is. It really is. Yeah, I'm glad I was never in high school for that. I probably would have committed seppuku with the Frisbee. But like, being a young adult, or being just an adult really, and like, it just, everyone like, oh my God, have you read Twilight? I'm like, no. But no, not only that, but I got really drunk during that panel. Like, we snuck in booze. We just got hammered. And that worked out well for us because right after that, we sobered up and they showed us 22 minutes of Avatar in 3D, which was awesome. So
imagine,
like, that was the first time anyone had seen anything on Avatar, and it was 22 minutes in 3D. So it's cool as shit. And it was like, it's even better when you're coming off of being buzzed, because you're like, this is great, man. Like, I'm not even thinking about the story. And but no, the I'll tell you this, the worst part about Twilight is what it spawned. And it's not the fan base. I'm talking 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yes. Yes. Totally agree. 100% agree.
Because that, I screwed myself on that one. So in the summer of 2012, I was getting ready to go to Comic-Con for the week. And my girlfriend was like, I just want to like listen to a new audiobook. Like, what do you recommend? And I jokingly said, I'm all like, yeah, I hear 50 Shades of Grey, right? I hear 50 Shades of Grey is pretty good.
Oh no.
And she's like, ooh, what's that? And I'm like, well, it's this love story, and whatever. And like, it's sexual, and she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, she's going to hate it. She's going to like get one hour into the audiobook and just turn it off. So she downloads it the next day, where she's all like, oh, I got an hour in and I'm just not liking it. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. And I'm like, oh, does Anna kind of come across as like Bella from Twilight? Yeah. And like Christian's kind of Edward. Yeah. yeah. And like that one dude, Brian, is like that Jacob guy, right? Yeah, it's really similar. I'm like, because it's the same fucking story. Then I explained E.L. James and everything else, and she's like, "Oh, well, that's stupid." And then I leave to go to San Diego, thinking, "Job well done. I have successfully turned my girlfriend off to the 50 Shades of Grey before anyone else could ever turn
Mhm.
her on to it." Oh, I was ignorant. So I got a call a couple nights later, and she's bawling. Right, she's bawling, and this has happened before when I was at Comic Con. She called me one night crying because her bike had been stolen.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh no, what happened? Did a cat die? Did the car get stolen? Like, what's going on? And I'm like,
Mhm.
are you okay? She's like, I'm fine. I just finished the second book of the 50 Shades trilogy, and it's like so good. It's so emotional. And I'm like, oh no,
Oh, freak.
oh no, 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 because
Failed.
because then the next week, my cousin was getting married down in San Diego, and so we decided to drive down for the wedding, and we, like,
Mhm.
we leave early enough in the day to avoid the traffic.
Mhm.
Well, unfortunately, there was a canola oil spill on the
Right.
freeway, blocking everything for like 2.5 hours. And we were in a Chevy S10 with 2 seats and no AC. And she had wanted to listen. She had wanted me to listen to the 50 Shades
Oh,
book
no.
while we were driving so I could see if I liked it. So I'm stuck in this canola oil spill in mid July with no AC in the morning, sun beating down on the car for 2.5 hours,
Oh, no.
listening to 50 Shades of Grey. I wanted to kill myself. It was
See,
so bad.
See, when that came out, I was a sophomore in high school, and I remember vividly the first time I ever even heard of it. My older brother was a senior at the time, and we were both on the basketball team, and we were like waiting between games. We came out in like the main area where like some students were working some stands and stuff, and one of the girls had a copy of the book on the table, and my older brother had heard about it, and he picked it up, and the girl's like, "Yeah, check it out," and he handed it to me. He's like, "Just flip to any page." And I flipped through something sexual, flip through something sexual, flip through something sexual. It's just like, what is this? And the girl's like, it's so good. It's so good. My brother's just like, yeah, hard pass. And I was like, okay. So I never read it, and I've never been forced to. Thank heaven above that I've never had to. My wife's not into that stuff. And so I never have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Well, I mean, like all things considered, like you would probably hope that like the good parts of it, I mean, but it's so tame. That's the thing with those. That's the thing with like what I love is like actually you can find a bunch of videos on YouTube of actual BDSM artists talking about how terrible 50 Shades is because it probably hurt more people than not, to be honest. Because people are like,
Mm,
oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I want to try that. Like, no, you don't. Because there's a lot that goes. I didn't know this at the time. Apparently, there's like this whole post care thing that happens with that.
hmm.
So it's like once they beat you up, they kind of like they cuddle with you and like, oh, it's okay. Do you need some lotion? Like it's like this post care, like this whole thing. I'm like, it doesn't interest me on that front to like go and check it out for myself. That's not my kink. But it's so funny to me because like this like it just encaps like it just totally like raptured or whatever captured the mindset of like soccer mom America, and when the books came out and they did well, E.L. James in the first year made like $50 million in the
Hmm.
first year of those books coming out.
Hmm.
Like, and that just got me going like, so wait a minute, you're telling me that I could write a fan fiction, make it erotic, and then like turn it around and make $50 million. And at that time when I lived in LA, oh man, every creative writing gig you could find on Craigslist was basically just, hey, can you guys write smut? That was basically about it. That was really about it for a while. And like one of the dudes I knew was this guy who was one of the original writers on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Huh.
And he was like, yeah, no, I've taken a number of those jobs. He's like, I've taken a bunch of them. I just go under a pen name, but I mean, yeah, like it's just because that's what everybody wanted. And then you go to Target and they had like the erotic fiction section, but it wasn't even in the books. It was an end cap,
Mm.
like in the aisle. And I'm like, what's going on? Like some kid's gonna come by and go, mommy, what's Crossfire? And like open it up and it's just like, whatever is being like listed off in that thing. Anne
Yeah.
Rice had one. It was like a Cinderella story that she wrote years ago that they reprinted. That was a BDSM story. It
Oh
was
goodness.
brutal. Like it was brutal. I never like one of my former coworkers, like again, she got into it too. And then she was like, she was reading all of these and she's like, I can't even like this one's too much for me. I'm like, well, Anne Rice is gonna get a little descriptive. But that was a weird time, and you're so lucky that you were
Yes.
not like an adult for that because that was like there's a photo I found on Reddit. I wonder if I can still find it. Let me see if I can look it up here. I know it's still floating around. It was a great thing. Um,
So since you bring it up, I'm curious, when exactly did you live in LA?
oh, I lived in LA from 2010 to December 2012.
Oh, okay. Because I lived there from 2015 to 17.
Oh,
So I was
nice,
just
man.
curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I miss LA. I really miss LA.
I miss parts of LA.
Yeah.
I lived most of my time there in the Westwood area.
Oh well,
Um,
that would be a good part to miss.
yeah.
I lived in NoHo in the arts district.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we moved in right after the economic crisis, right? Or like the
Mm,
recession had just ended.
right.
So like all the rent was like moderately, it was down enough. And then at what 1275 for a
Mm.
2 bedroom, which was pretty average for there.
Man, seriously, the prices in LA just, oh my goodness. That was ridiculous
Oh
living
yeah.
there.
Well, yeah, if you're down on that side of town, I mean,
Yeah. Well, thankfully I was able to I had a pretty sweet gig there to where my expenses were not that much at all. Like I actually was in a good situation where a lot of my stuff was paid for, which is really nice. Um but no, I loved that area. I got to know a lot of the Persian community in Westwood.
nice.
In fact, I even learned Farsi to talk with them and interact with that community there because I did a lot of service stuff while I was there. So that's one thing I miss is Persian food in Westwood.
Well,
Good stuff.
when you were in Westwood, did you ever go to any of the Regency theaters that were there?
So I wish because I was there doing like a lot of church service stuff and they had rules about like going to movie theaters and stuff. So like I missed so BVS The Ultimate Edition is my favorite movie of all time and I couldn't see the theatrical cut in theaters because of the rules of this certain like service thing that I was doing, which
That's weird.
sucked. It sucked.
Yeah,
Especially in LA when like you see all the massive billboards for all the movies that come out.
yeah.
Like, yeah, it was. Oh, and someone said Paul said Farsi and Spanish are very similar. I highly disagree. Sorry. Farsi and Spanish are very, very different because Farsi has that Arabic lettering in that text and very different sentence structure. I mean, as far
Yeah.
as I understand, I tried learning Spanish and Farsi was very different for Spanish for me.
So that's a little bit crazy. But real quick, I found that meme I was talking about. It's
Okay,
like,
yeah.
this is something a guy posted to Reddit. He goes, "This is my mom's copy of 50 Shades of Grey."
Oh boy.
And he's like, "You won't." He's like, "Guess what the tabs are for?"
Oh gosh. Oh my.
That is, yeah. That's the craziness of living through that whole scenario.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
yeah. Well, when I worked for Regency Theaters when I lived in
Okay.
LA, so the name Three Buck Theater actually comes from the one I worked at in Pasadena
Okay.
because it was a
Yeah.
discount house and everything. But I went down and I saw Sucker Punch the opening weekend at the Regency down there because they did all the premieres.
Yeah.
So like those two, because they had like the two theaters across the street
Right
from
across
each other.
right across the corner, yeah.
And
Did you
so
ever
like,
get Diddy Reese? That was right down the street from that. Did you ever get Diddy Reese?
no, I didn't spend a lot of time down there because I never really like had the money to do anything. So and living in the NoHo Arts District, there was a lot there to do. Like I had a lot of
Right.
friends, and I ended up getting on the board of directors of a nonprofit for called the Scriptwriters Network.
Hmm.
Like they just go like, "Hey, you want to run our Facebook page?" And I'm like, "Okay." And like, "Awesome, you're now on the board of directors." I'm like,
Dang.
"Cool, that's a resume booster." And then I went to YouTube right after the fact, so that means nothing. I can't sit there, go to YouTube and be like, "Hey guys, I'm on a board." I run a Facebook page for a nonprofit and they give me a free meal twice a month. That's really about it. But I mean, the thing I miss about LA is like, going to like the weird events you would just kind of find yourself going to.
Yeah.
you know, and like I remember my first week there, we ended up going to West Hollywood for
Mhm.
this LGBT event, and I think it was like lesbians and media. We got invited to this party, and my roommate
Mm.
and I were like, all right, you know, we've never like why not? And that's
Yeah.
where I learned Rachel Maddow was gay. I didn't
Hmm.
know that. That was a
Hmm.
that was a, and even was it Jane Lynch as well. I learned a lot that evening.
Hmm.
But it was a fun night. Those are because when you go to West, I don't know if you ever went to West Hollywood. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's crazy there, but it's like a fun kind of crazy.
I drove
It,
through there a lot, and I saw some interesting
you
things.
oh
That
yeah,
was
you see some crazy stuff, but it's like I
like
mean,
I once saw. I drove past this bar that the door was open, and there was no joke. This like 300-pound white guy sitting at the bar in nothing but a red speedo, and my eyes burned for like
yeah,
5 hours.
yeah. I once was did you follow like the Democratic nominees
Well,
a few months ago, like they did all the debates.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
I worked for Marianne Williamson.
Oh, nice.
So I ended up, yeah. So I met. So this is funny. This is how it works in LA. I was at a screening of the movie Moneyball,
Mm.
and I'm with my friend, and the girl behind us. We start talking to her. She's actually an acting coach for kids, and she was the acting coach for the main kid in J.J. Abrams' Super 8, which had just come out around that same time.
Yeah.
And like, okay, cool. And so her and I got to talk, and I was like, oh, I do social media. And she's like, oh, cool. And so then I get this call from like this former Good Morning LA like anchor. I forget his name now. And he's like, can you help me set up Facebook? Cause I'm trying to, you know, so I'm like, all right. So I go to his house on the west side and I help him set up Facebook. And it was just something to do for an afternoon. And then I get a call from Marianne Williamson's assistant because he knew Marianne and she needed somebody to come over to her house and
Mm.
shoot a political ad. Like literally just bring a camera and record a message and then upload it to YouTube. That was it. And it was like
Yeah.
$100 $100 a gig. It was super easy stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And so just through that process of you know that I just connections, I ended up working for Marianne Williamson for like 6 months, being her personal videographer for these things. And she would just call me and go, "Hey, can you come?" Oh, her assistant would. But like I went to her condo, and her condo or her whatever you want to call it is like it's in this building in west on the west side,
Yeah.
and I could see Hollywood Boulevard from one side of her balcony all the way down to DTLA on the other side of her balcony. And these
Mm.
condos went for about 1.25 million each. And they had valet parking at front. Like I drove a really terrible 98 Ford Taurus at the time. And I get there and the guy's like, "Oh, you want me to valet park your car?" And I'm like, "No. No, I don't want you to sully yourself. So I'm just going to park in the parking lot, like right next to a 64 Mustang Cobra, the Shelby, right? Like a really nice Mustang. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near that car. That car is worth more than my life. And they will probably have no problem killing me. I mean, but that's like when you live in LA, you just end up in these
Yeah.
weird scenarios. And it was, oh, I miss it.
Yeah, that I feel that too because when I was in LA, I ran into Gene Simmons, I ran into Larry King a couple times. I even ran across a guy who trained Robert Downey Jr. for a lot of his MCU films, which is pretty cool. He actually is a really good friend of mine.
Nice.
He actually gave me my copy of Batman Hush before I left LA, which is really cool. He's a really good big comic nerd. He loves Thor. In fact, he looks like Thor if you meet him. Really big, massive dude. And let's see, I'm trying to figure out what else. Oh, I did run into Shaquille O'Neal out there when I went to that Diddy Reese place that I was talking about. Which, for those of you out there who don't know LA or any place out there, Diddy Reese is an ice cream place just down the street from those Regency theaters that Matt Jarbo was mentioning, and they make these ice cream sandwiches out of cookies. Like they take chocolate cookies or any kind of cookie and put ice cream in the middle, and they give you this massive ice cream sandwich, like this big as like that. It's massive. And then I run to Shaquille O'Neal on the other side of the street while he's going to a hookah bar, which is kind of funny. And no security guards or anything. He's just walking down the street like it's no big deal, like he's not who he is. And it was pretty crazy. And then there was one time I remember when they're doing the Lethal Weapon show, the newer one. I was walking through Koreatown, which I was also in Koreatown a lot too. And I came across a set of Lethal Weapon. It was I haven't watched the new show, but there was a episode where they had a car accident in the episode where there's a car that was flipped upside down, glass everywhere. And we come upon it, me and my friend that were walking. And this guy comes up to us like, yeah, we're just wrapping up. You guys want to get an escort through? It's like, heck yeah. So we got to walk through and got right next to the car that was in there. So like cool stuff like that were some things that I definitely do miss about LA. But the things I don't miss are the prices, the big city, because I'm not a big city guy. Like if you see where I live now, like that's pretty plain and easy to see. I'm not a big city person. I hated living in apartments. I'm in a 3-bedroom house now with my wife now, and I love how much space we have. Because in LA, most places, there's like 2 inches between you and your neighbor. And I hated that because I grew up on big, massive plots of land in the middle of nowhere in Colorado and South Dakota and Iowa. And so I was just like, yeah, no, city life's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like city life. Where I live now, I literally live in the forest. So I live in the woods, right on the edge of the Capitol Forest in Olympia, Washington. And I've got like deer that come through my yard every day, and it's just very quiet. Like even today, I had to travel to the coast for the census because that's what I'm doing for work right now. And like I had to, so I go to the Washington coast, and it's just like large trees, and it's very pretty. But today was foggy and misty. We still have that smoke in the air, so a lot of it was just hanging real low.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my God, it was like great. It was just like the perfect way. It was amazing weather. I loved it. Very moody, introspective kind of Washington type weather. But I miss living in the city. Like I miss living in San Diego because I lived in San Diego for about 12 years, LA for 3. But I miss living in San Diego because as
you
much
gradually moved your way up north.
Yeah. Well, no, I started off in Portland, and then I moved. I lived there till I was
Gotcha.
17. And then my stepdad got relocated in his job when I was a senior in high school.
Gotcha.
And then I had to go down there. And then, I kind of moved my way back up. But from there, it's like, San Diego's an awesome city. I love it. But LA, just the accessibility to the movie stuff. And I think I think for what I do now with this channel, if I was in LA, it'd be totally different for how I want to like go forward. Cause I'm kind of like over just like talking about like the news as it happens. And I say that only because like, it's just nothing but like, scoops and leaks and like what's real, what's not real.
Especially right now.
Yeah. Well, I guess I just got sent a thing earlier. I guess apparently Grace Randolph is saying that like Harry Potter is getting a TV series over on HBO Max.
Oh, boy, please no.
Like after, cause all the Harry Potter movies left HBO Max and went to Universal, went to Peacock or whatever. So that's going to happen for a couple years. And then from there, they're going to like maybe do something after the fact. And it's like, well, for one, I've been saying for a long time that, once Harry Potter turns 20, which is next year, going and doing a rebooted television show that's 7 seasons long that goes through all 7 books and actually shows you everything they cut out of the movies would be kind of cool.
Yeah, if you put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like seeing the kids grow up and like actually showing Peeves, and actually having like, cause like Prisoner of Azkaban is probably the best made Harry Potter movie, but it is the weakest adaptation.
Yes.
And then maybe actually having the Half-Blood Prince be its own thing versus just a lead in to the 7th movie. Cause like the revelation of the Half-Blood Prince in the book was awesome. From page 606 to the end of the book, Hogwarts is on fire.
Yeah.
It's a battle.
I loved the books. I actually read the Deathly Hallows in one night after I finally got to it and I got it in the mail. So I loved the books. The books are fantastic. I just got so drained by the movies because like the books, like you said, there was a lot of details in there that made the world that much more interesting, especially with what was the movie you just said? Half-Blood Prince as well as
Half-Blood Prince or Prisoner of Azkaban.
Prisoner of Azkaban, yes. There was that, and there's a lot of things that they left out. But with the movies, they did something that was very interesting. They basically did the same structure every single movie. They had like Harry Potter's just like this no good kid that nobody really cares about, and then something crazy happens that at the end everybody believes that Voldemort's back and that Harry's the one who's going to save him. It's literally this. If you look at it that way, it's the same thing every time, at least from my perspective. And so that's why at first I'm like turned off by the idea of a show. Once you put in that perspective of like they explore more from the books, that definitely gets me a little bit more intrigued.
Yeah, I'd love to see the world open up. That's why that was it the Hogwarts game that they announced for PS5 Looks pretty cool. Like to go back to
Yeah.
the 1800s. Cause it just, the thing is like technology never went to Hogwarts. So you could set it in like 1800 or 2100 and it's going
Right.
to look the same. Like it's not going to change. I was like watching this trailer. I'm like, everyone looks like they came from 2001. Nothing
Mhm.
about this is even remotely different. Like no one's going to, cause they can't bring in any electronics because there's like a spell that stops any electronics from working once you
Mhm.
get inside of like Hogsmeade. So, or get in like the general area. So it's kind of like, I'm like, all right, cool. That'd be kind of fun to go and explore and see what's there. And I think it's being made by some MMO company or something. I'm not too, might be thinking of it wrong, but I
Mhm.
would love to see the Harry Potter universe expand. What I would love to see is J.K. Rowling open it up, kind of like what Lucas did with the Star Wars franchise, is just open
Mhm.
it up to some kind of expanded universe that's not canon, because she would
Right.
never allow it to be canon, but allow other writers to tackle the subject material.
Yeah. That'd be
Because
pretty cool.
I mean, imagine some of the cooler stories that could have come out of that. Like I think we would get a massive resurgence of Harry Potter if that happened. But J.K. she's very controlling over that, and I understand it.
Yes.
But like, how much more money do you need?
Right. Exactly. I mean, she's what, like 8 films, 7 books.
More than that, you got to count. Well, there's the two Fantastic Beasts movies as
Right.
well, and
Exactly.
she wrote the scripts for those, although those scripts were terrible.
Right. And so like she has, I mean, gosh, that's now 10 movies worth of money that she's made. Because I mean, Harry Potter movies, they sell, right?
Yeah,
They make money. And so she has plenty of money. It's like, I don't know if it were, it's easy for me to say this because I'm a poor artist who, who doesn't have any money. So I like to think of myself that I'd be okay with money. But I would think personally that if I made a ton of money off of 10 movies, that I'd be okay with like, okay, let's see what anybody else has to do. Kind of like how Junkie XL stated when he talked about like a score for like or a theme for different characters. How like, yeah, like 10 years down the road, like, yeah, sure, if somebody wants to make a new theme for Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman, go for it. I want to see what they do. I would like to think I'd have that approach, but it doesn't quite look like not Stephanie Meyer,
yeah.
that J.K. Rowling has that perspective. It doesn't look like she does.
No, it's just I think like the franchise is a great thing, but clearly where she is right now is not. She doesn't want to write that kind of stuff anymore. You can tell.
Right.
And like she's like written other book series under a pen name, and those have done well. Like there was she's got that new book that everyone's trying to call transphobic because it has a dude in a dress who's the killer, and then my first thought was like, who, yeah, but did like anyone see Psycho from 1967 or whatever? Like, I mean, like that was a thing back
Mhm.
then, and they just re-released Psycho in 4K, beautiful transfer.
Mhm.
And there's no hit pieces about how that's transphobic by today's standards or some crap. So
Mhm.
it's unfortunately like, they all want to attack, but I think breaking all that aside, yeah, I think it'd be better if she kind of turned the franchise over to somebody else. It's like, look, whatever you want to say about Lucas and Star Wars when he sold to Disney, he sold with the intent for them to carry the torch,
Right.
and he sold to them knowing exactly the business model, what they and how they run things, because he's been working with Disney for decades.
Yeah.
So it's not new stuff. And so when people sit there and they attack Bob Iger over the sale and what Bob Iger put in his memoirs and everything else, I chuckle at that because I'm like, no, Lucas knew exactly what he's doing. The guy isn't stupid. He
Mhm.
didn't get played for a fool. He chose Kathleen Kennedy on purpose. And because he knows her, he's known her for 40 years.
Mhm.
So he chose her on purpose because he trusted her. And the thing is the corporate structure of what Disney wanted and how Kathy is not used to those kind of properties. Because if you
Mhm.
really look at what she does as a producer, it's a lot of standalone stuff or contained trilogies.
Right.
It's not overseeing Lucasfilm because that people don't realize too. That's also Skywalker Sound, ILM.
Mhm.
That's the publishing side of it with the new canon, and then the movies and the TV shows and whatever else is going on. It's literally not just one. It's not just Star Wars, the movies. It's
Mhm.
everything else in the process. And I feel she has dropped the ball in some areas
Mhm.
and made some bad creative decisions. But at the same time, she also greenlit The Mandalorian.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
and I mean, that was like one of the biggest shows of last year. I mean, she gave us
Yeah.
season 7 of the Clone Wars to wrap it up, and that last 4 episodes was just amazing.
Yeah, my wife and I actually we started rewatching through the Clone Wars, and I hadn't seen the first two seasons in a long time, and I forgot how
Oh,
badly some of those episodes are written.
well, now are you watching the chronological, are you watching the watch order or are you doing it just what's available?
Like going to Disney Plus, like the first episode through,
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah, because there's actually, if you go to starwars.com, there's the watch order for the Clone Wars.
oh,
And so it starts off, it really does, even before watching the movie, it
right,
starts off with episode, I think like season 2, episode 15.
okay,
And that's a good episode. And then it's like, then watch the movie and then watch, because then you get the introduction to Ahsoka. And then
right,
from there, because even the season 1 finale, which is where you get the introduction to Cad Bane,
mm,
actually plays off. I think it plays off in season 2 because it's actually like a Die Hard episode. It feels like an episode, like it feels like Die Hard, but
mm,
in Star Wars because the whole setup. And again, like you just kind of go through these different arcs, and a lot of the times, like as you get to later seasons, the arcs are in these like 3 to 4 episode runs,
right.
and some of them are bad. Like some of like season 4 was had some. I skipped a few. I'm like, I don't care about this. This is just
Mm.
oh
Well, that was I think it was episode 14 of season 1. The entire time, my wife and I looked at each other as like, this is terrible. This is so bad. Like the
yeah.
writing was just awful. I believe it was Ahsoka was with, gosh, who's the blue female Jedi? I keep forgetting her name. Um,
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, but anyway, they're with her, and oh gosh, it was Ahsoka saw something drawn on a piece of paper that was like super like obvious. She's like, "Oh, maybe this means this," and the Jedi's like, "You're a perceptive one, Ahsoka," and it almost sounded sarcastic, but you could tell by the characters' expressions that it totally was not. That they were totally serious,
Yeah.
and like just stuff like that. It was just, and then the monkey people in that episode and those two episodes that came with it that lived on that planet. It was just like, oh gosh. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, and the whole thing is pretty bad.
it was
And there's, I mean, again, those first couple seasons are very, very, very difficult to get through.
yes.
But the last couple seasons, I think you have like once they start giving us the clones and giving them personalities and allowing
Mhm.
those personalities to develop over time. And I think D. Bradley Baker doesn't get as much recognition as he should for
Mhm.
really bringing a bunch of different personalities to like literally the same voice
Yeah.
and having it be consistent throughout. Like, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've played Jedi Fallen Order.
I have the shirt, but I don't have the game. I'm trying
Oh,
to get it. There's a thing called money
yeah.
that you
No,
need for
money's good. I like
that.
money. I don't have any of it myself, but I enjoy it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Um,
I don't have it either, so that's why I
yeah.
don't have the game
Well,
yet.
given your artistic talent, start selling some of that stuff. I would say start. Now, I might hit you up and ask for some favors, but I don't intend on paying you. So no, I'm kidding. So do it after I talk to you. I'm just going to give you some advice, then we'll just call it a deal. No, but really, like Fiverr.com, you could make some serious money on there. You're good.
Sweet.
It's like banners and stuff, logos. If you can do those quick, you can make good money. Like people will pay for it. Like there's a guy on there right now that's selling, like the only dude on Fiverr that's selling StreamYard designs is like starts at $20 a design.
Really?
There's only one guy doing it, and they're basic. Like I've seen the layouts you have that you did for, like Nicotina and like Poindexter, and those are good layouts. And like this dude is like, I don't know, he's not as good. So I would look into it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely look that up
That's
as soon as we're
something.
done here.
Yeah, it's something you because actually I do need to wrap this up because I have my other stream in about 10 minutes.
Ah, gotcha.
That's called Boulder Talk Radio, where it's literally, I don't know what anything could happen. We get some weird people that call in, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really do. I really am looking forward to the future of Star Wars.
Yeah.
With focusing on TV and I'm hoping. I mean, like I'll tell you this, man. Like I'm kind of like backing away from like the Snyder Cut talk because I just feel like it's
Coming. So
it's
like,
coming, but it's constant. It's like,
it is.
if I were to go over right now to the vodka stream for like Film Junkie, and I love Dave, and jump in there, it would be like Colbert and Scott and Dave talking about BVS for like 3 hours again.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
Friday. That's their Friday night jam. They hang out, they drink booze, and they talk about Batman v Superman like they're trading war stories.
And like Batman v Superman the Ultimate Edition is my favorite movie, but like, yeah, I don't talk about it that much.
Yeah. I completely agree with you about it being it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, was so upset seeing it in theaters because I was like, what did I just watch? What
Hmm.
is this? And then when I got it on home video, I sat there in my apartment. My girlfriend was gone. I was being by myself. I'm like, all right, this is either going to be real good or real bad. And I was very happy with what I saw. And I was out there telling everyone, like, you guys got to see this movie. Like, what
That's
do
been
they?
me for the past 2 years, and then people keep telling. I know you got to finish it, but I'll tell you this one thing.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
There's this one argument I keep having with so many different people, where it's like, look, you haven't seen the full movie unless you've watched the Ultimate Edition. That's just how it is. And people are like, well, Lord of the Rings has extended cuts, but yet you can watch the regular theatrical edition. It's still good. It's like, here's the thing: Warner Brothers butchered the editing on the theatrical cut. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, they did not. They have the only thing that they added in those films was 5 different endings. That's what they did basically, was add 5 different endings. That's a different story.
Well, there's some other scenes here and
right,
there, but they only expand upon like those
what's
scenes.
already presented.
Yeah,
whereas BVS takes out key concepts.
Well, we're talking of like actual plot points.
And here I go bringing BVS into your stream.
No, and I'm fine with that. Like, I am fine with that. Like, I do love the movie, and I love the fact that HBO, like as pissed off as I am at HBO Max for not being on Roku, and I'm still like, it's been 2 months, it's been what, almost 4 months. Like, I'm paying for something I'm barely using. I would love it to be on Roku because I have 2 Roku televisions, and I find it to be absolutely, irresponsible of them to launch it and not have it. But that's my own arguments. And so, but the way I look at it is like, I love the fact that they on HBO Max have labeled that section the DCEU. And I love that they now have the Ultimate Edition as BVS, and that is the only edition that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And now, but see, there's another part of me that's like, well, maybe you should offer up the theatrical cut just as like, like when they put out the Snyder cut, are they going to remove Justice League? Are they going to get rid? Well, I mean, there are people out there that really like it. I don't know who those people are, but they exist, I'm sure. So, but I mean, like, but they should probably call it Joss Whedon. I mean, I don't know what the legalities of it are. The title is going to be the issue, but I think they're probably going to end up keeping it as, unless they pull it completely. So I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm going to watch it again before the Snyder cut comes out, just to punish myself, but and then I'll do a patio commentary talking about that. But let me ask you, so you said BVS is your favorite movie.
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard him? Did you hear me describe the patio commentary at all? What that is?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, this is what it is. It's kind of just, it's a movie discussion podcast. Instead of audio commentary, it's called patio commentary.
Okay.
Because I'm very lazy in naming things, and I think it works. But Enosh and I did one the other night for Demolition Man.
Okay.
And
that's right. You guys did that. Yeah. I remember seeing that.
The idea there is like just to get people on. So like, you could, like, I want to bring people like you and like Nicotina and, I'm not trying to be like an e-whore where it's like, let me just get like people with like 4 million subscribers.
Well, I definitely don't have that.
I just mean like, cause I know people that are like that. I don't want to talk to you unless you have 5,000 subs or higher, sort of thing. And I'm not like that at all. Because on this channel, I've got 32,000, on the other channel, 124,000, right?
Nice.
Still don't get anything for views. It's bad. But the idea there, though, is like, I want to bring in anyone who enjoys movies and just have conversations and then just like talk about the movies. And so it's like, if BVS is your favorite movie, maybe down the road, because I want to bring it up and do it, but I'm going to kind of push it off down the road a little bit. But if there's other movies you really like and you want to come on and like just spend 45 minutes to an hour just talking about, that's the whole point. That's the idea. Because the discussion, in my opinion, is better than the criticism.
Yeah.
Because that way,
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. That way it's the idea there is like, if it's something you love, you're going to geek out over it. Right.
Yeah.
And then it may not be my favorite movie. I mean, if we're talking something other than BVS, but like, let's say like, 'cause I don't know how you feel about Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's my favorite movie.
Oh, it's great.
So it's like, so we could talk about Raiders. Like, I would geek out and then you might geek out and vice versa. So the idea there, if we're both kind of geeking out around the same wavelength while talking, I think that translates to the audience. I personally believe that the audience will take that and they will then also get as excited. And if the audience is listening to it and the audience is getting excited over this, then that's going to change how they view the movie. It could be even a movie that they don't like. But if two people are talking about it from the perspective of like being either critical or being fair or just kind of coming at it from as best intention as humanly possible,
Mhm.
it can offer a different perspective. Like I'll put it to you like this. There's a guy I know, hardcore right-wing commentator,
Mhm.
reviewed The Force Awakens and he was tearing it apart, but he started talking about the prequels, especially Attack of the Clones. And he described it as Lucas trying something different and trying to tell this political story and how it tied into Revenge of the Sith. And he kind of set this whole thing up. And right after that, I went out and I'm like, all right, my girlfriend and I bought the Blu-rays of the three or of the both
Mhm.
trilogies. And we watched them. And when we got to the prequel trilogy, I kept that in mind as I was watching Attack of the Clones. And as I was watching Attack of the Clones, I started to see what he was talking about. And then that started to open up Attack of the Clones to me as being a much better movie than I ever in my mind had allowed it to be. Because I never really cared for Attack of the Clones. I thought it was just clunky, you
Mm.
know? And
Yeah.
so, but listening to how he describes it and how he interprets it allowed me to then view it from a different perspective and then gain a whole new respect for it
Yeah.
and realize that, you know what, I actually really do like this movie. Flaws and everything. It's
Mhm.
got some solid moments.
Yeah.
And it is different. Lucas is trying something different. It's like Snyder with the BVS and Man of Steel and Justice League. He's trying something different. He's grounding it in a reality that we
Mhm.
haven't seen before. And people maybe at the time weren't ready for, And so again, those kind of conversations as they play out. I think a lot of people might get a kick out of that. So that's the whole point of Podio commentary.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. When people hear people talk about something in a very civilized conversational manner, it, like you said, changes perspective. Or maybe it doesn't change their, I guess, opinion of the film, but maybe it just changes the way they approach it. Like you just said with Attack of the Clones. I wholeheartedly agree with that concept. So I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing here.
Yeah, and
And
I
I'm
want to
totally down to join. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I want to just I'm still plotting it out
Yeah.
as I go. We just did the one. I had to get the first one out of the way first. And then from there, we'll see where things take off and they go.
Yeah.
So we'll go from there. But all right, guys, I got to wrap this up. I got like 1 minute to the next stream starts, so they're gonna give me a hard time
All
over there.
right.
And yeah. So anyway, Dawson, I appreciate you being here, man. Congrats on having your image on DC Fandom. I saw that. That was pretty great.
Well, thank you.
So everyone go check out Nerdy in Many Ways. Like, what's your YouTube link? What's your channel?
My channel's Nerdy in Many Ways on YouTube. And yeah, just type in Nerdy in Many Ways and it'll be the first thing that pops up, or it should be. But yeah, check me out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here, man. And we'll definitely talk again soon. To everyone else, I'm going to be over on the other channel. It's not talking movies. So anything could happen. And I'm just saying, it's Friday. And I'll talk to everyone later. Have yourself a great night and peace out.